Hello guys, this is Agents of Bolas, and I'll be showing you my Aminatou, the Fateshifter deck, because I feel like Wizards of the Coast made this deck wrong. They were too busy focused on the first ability, which is a really poor brainstorm effect, where you draw one and then you put a card from the top from your hand on top of your library, which is dumb. Or you can minus her, which is way better, and you exile a non-land permanent you control and return it to the battlefield under your control, which is what this deck is about. It's a blink effect deck, and I have never used her ult, and I don't intend to. I think it's retarded, but so I got a Johnny Steadfast, mostly for his minus, because it's gonna immediately put a counter on every creature you control, and it's going to put another counter on Aminatou while she's out, and then of course you can exile her and bring it back and do it again, which I think is fun. Obnixilis, it's a Phyrexian effect, it can destroy a creature, and the best part is you can do it twice a turn when Aminatou's in play. Jace Beleren, I love this card. I have like any deck that has blue, I've pretty much got this card in, because it's fun for everyone to draw, and if you even and it's a card for everyone. It's meant to be shared, and you can do it, of course, more than once a turn with a Minotaur in play, which is fun. Kaya Orzhov Usurper is a new card. It exiles up to 2 cards from a single graveyard, and you can gain 2 if at least one of them is a creature card. Or you can exile a non-land permanent with converted mana cost 1, which doesn't seem that effective, but in Commander, where people throw out mana vault and stuff, it's pretty helpful. And again, with a Minotaur in play, you can do it twice a turn. This was the original Commander for the deck, because I've had this deck for a while, but I just don't have the heart to get rid of Oloro, and he brings life gain and draw on his own. Vizier of the Many Faces, because it can come in as anything and then you can bring it back. Vela of the Nightclad, just because it gives your creatures an evasion effect and you're going to be blinking them, so your opponents are going to lose some life. Divinity of Pride, because it's silly in Commander. It comes in as an 8/8 flying lifelinker, and I love that. A Johnny's Pridemate. He's just going to get gigantic, and that's just fun to do. This card doesn't really have a place in the deck. I just wanted to play with it, because she makes zombies and you draw cards. And you can get rid of stuff in your graveyard that you don't want, if someone's trying to manipulate your graveyard. Sphinx of the Steelwind, he's just a big dumb artifact, and there's a lot of combat effects on him, and you can bring him back with a lot of the other cards in this deck. These are the next part is pretty much waste of blink. So Deadeye Navigator, Brago King Eternal, Flicker Wisp, Mist Meadow Wish, Wisp-Weaver Angel, and then this will be the cards that I really want to blink for the most part, which is Azor, because it slows them down from doing instants or sorceries. He draws you cards, he gains you life. Darkfleet Ravengers, fun if you want to close out the game pretty quickly, because you're going to have a lot more life than everyone else for the most part anyway. Deputy of Detention, he's a really good card that came out in one of the Ravnica, the new Ravnica set, which exiles a non-land permanent and opponent controls, and all the permanents with the same name until he leaves the battlefield. So if someone's running tokens, you can ruin their afternoon. Reflector Mage is one of my favorite things to blink, because it makes them sad. Solemn Simulacrum, so you can land fix while you're blinking, and even if he dies, you still get a draw card. Shurum, so that you can get your artifacts, because there's a lot of artifacts in this deck, and she's just a 5/5 flying fun stick. Sepulchral Primordial, in case someone's trying to do dumb stuff with their graveyard, you can just hinder them or make them sad. Angel of Despair, to destroy anything that you don't like, and of course you can do it twice a turn with a Minotaur. Grave Titan, I don't have to say it. This one was kind of an interesting choice, but I just think it's funny to sleep your opponents during your turn, so you just play Subjugator Angel, or you can blink her and just tap down all their creatures for a turn so that you can get in a big fucking ass whooping, you know. Mere Battlesphere, he makes a lot of dudes. That's pretty much the main thing. And when you blink him, a lot of times you can just turn him sideways and end the game. Regal Caracal, I just think he's fun. You make cats, and they get bigger with lifelink. Drowner of Hope, same kind of thing, except for instead of cats with lifelink, you make scions, and you can tap down your opponent's creatures with sacking a scion for that. Cloud Blazer is one of the best things to blink because it draws 2 and it gains 2, so just blink that all year. Deceiver Exarch, there's a lot of fun stuff you can do with your mana rocks or manipulating your opponent's creatures. Filigree Angel, you have a lot of artifacts in this deck for the most part, so you'll be gaining 12 life at a time, and of course that means 24 because Aminatou will be in the play for the most part. Phyrexian Gargantuan, it lets you Phyrexian Arena twice every time he comes in, and that's the best thing ever. Delivian Primordial, in case you want to cast some stuff in your opponent's graveyard. Razor Hippogriff, get an artifact, and you gain life. So you get some Grave Recursion and you gain some life. Angel of Invention, you fabricate. It's a flying lifelink, vigilant, that lords your creatures. That's the best thing I've ever heard of. Necrotal, just some removal when he enters the battlefield. Same thing with Noxious Gear Hulk, except you're going to gain life. Dungeon Geist is fun because you can keep a gigantic creature under your control, and if they put something out worse, then you can blink it and tap that down. Seth's Tiger's kind of slow for this deck, but when you need it, it's just good to have the protection from color. Pilgrim's Eye, same thing as Solemn. Captain of the Watch is one of my favorite cards to blink. He comes in with 3 soldiers, gives them vigilance and a +1/+1. That's just pretty good. Baleful Strix, you know, it just draws a card, Flying Death Touch. They don't really want to attack into it. Dare with Eyes Open, because I've got 4 Planeswalkers going on in this deck anyway, and it's easier to get to them. And then we'll go to my non-land cards. Kitar's Wrath, it destroys all creature, and then if you have Threshold, you can make some spirits. Approach of the Second Sun, sometimes the games get a little bit control-y, and you might not be able to just walk in, so I just put a win effect in the game. Darksteel Mutation, it renders one of their best creatures, or if you're rude, their commander, inoperable. And if they put out something that's worse, you can blink it with Aminatou and make it a 0/1 bug that does nothing. Famine, that was just in the deck preemptively, so I just left it there. Reckless Spite, destroy creatures, lose 5. That's pretty good for an instant. Blue Sun Zenith gets you some draw cards and it shuffles away. Death's Grasp, when it comes to late game, you can just kind of siphon someone out. Phyrexian Reclamation for some creature recursion. Overwhelmingly Splendor, it's really rude, but again, if someone's just doing obstinate things, you can kind of put them out of the game for a minute, and then if someone does something worse, you can switch it with a Aminatou. Sanguine Bond, you're going to gain a lot of life, so you might as well have them lose it. Fabricate, there's a lot of artifacts in here that I think there's a lot of artifacts in here, so you might as well search for them. Toxic Deluge, it's the best removal in the game. By far, you just pay whatever life and then everything dies that much. Gets rid of it deals with indestructible too. This card has ended more games than I care to admit. Revival or Revenge, you can double your life total and an opponent loses half their life rounded up. Or you can return a creature card with a mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So if you have Sanguine Bond, you can one-shot someone. Tome of the Guild Pact, a lot of the creatures are more than one color, so you get mana fix and you get card draw. Crawl Space, because they don't need to attack you, you're just busy doing fun stuff and they get a watch. Conjurer's Closet, because Aminatou might not make it some of the time, so you gotta have a way to blink your creatures. Well of Lost Dreams, because you're gonna gain life, so you're gonna draw cards. Aetherflux Reservoir, because that's the best thing to do, is to just shoot people for 50, especially when you're at 100. Soul Ring, Pristine Talisman. This one's fun because if you've really got nothing going on, you can at least gain 2 life and and make 2 mana with a Minotaur in play. Orbs of Warding, it makes you hexproof, and if someone's trying to hit you with a bunch of small creatures, like a bunch of 1/1 goblins, you can just laugh at them. And Panharmonicon for the double enter the battlefield of triggers. And the rest is just lands, so I've just got Command Tower, Port Town, Orzhov Ballistica, Gateway Plaza, Temple, a couple of search lands. Nothing really exciting. But that is how I think a Aminatou the Fateshifted should be played.